Turning home on an Endeavour, but splashing down this time instead of runway landing, right?
That's right. I believe you said earlier that he flew on Space Shuttle Endeavour.
Yeah.
Was it STS-113?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Which, awesomely enough, is parked here in LA. And we got to go see it the other day.
It sure is. So the recovery teams are just preparing the side hatch there for the crew's egress.
That's that white frame you mentioned earlier?
Absolutely. So just a fixture there to help protect that side hatch during this process. As we said before, this capsule has been reused. We plan to reuse it in the future. So not only to protect the crew themselves, but also the hardware.
Yeah. I imagine that's the sealing mechanism, so you want to protect that as you're walking over it and making sure it stays pristine.
All right, so that was the footrest that we saw coming out. These detach from the seats in order to allow the crew to get out of their seats a little easier. Also helps, just increase the usable volume inside Dragon. John, you and I were in the training capsule. It's about 2 weeks ago now. And it's definitely makes a difference in terms of small things like that, which seem like a small or a thin item that doesn't really take up space, but in reality, in terms of the volume that it occupies and where in that volume it is placed, it does make a difference in terms of mobility. And when you're on orbit in microgravity, it's a lot easier to get around than when you're stuck here on Earth with that pesky gravity.
Pesky gravity. Right, and I don't know if it's the same for egress, but during launch we noticed that there was a very particular way in which crew and ground teams had to ingress the vehicle because of those volumetric constraints. But allowing those footrests to come out does free up space a little easier. It's been they've spent a number of days in orbit, haven't felt the effects of gravity in a while. So making it as easy as possible to egress the vehicle is really important, not only for their comfort but also for everybody's safety.
It looks like pilot Larry Connor might be the first one to exit the vehicle.
See on the left-hand shot, the right side of that screen.
So inside Dragon capsules, we use a 5-point safety harness. So a little bit more complex than the seatbelt you and I use in our cars. It's really designed to be safe. Make sure that the crew's ergonomics or the positions that their body is in during the dynamic portions of the mission, that they're strapped in properly, but also so that they're comfortable.
Right.
So it seems like that's what the recovery teams are now assisting the crews in unlatching, is that safety harness.
Right.
So we can see there Larry Connor starting to make his way out of his seat and onto the deck there on our recovery ship, Megan.
See Larry making his egress from the Dragon Endeavour. You can hear the cheers in the background for it.
All right, those are his first steps back on planet Earth after spending 17 days on orbit. if it were me, I imagine I'd probably feel a little shaky, right? Because they don't have gravity up there. They did take exercise equipment to keep their muscles working while they're up there, but still, it's.
There, we're going off comm. Thanks for everything. We'll see you on deck.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
My last call there from MLA to say that they're no longer going to be utilizing the Dragon communication systems. They'll just talk with everybody on the deck.
So there we saw mission specialist Mark Pathy. He was seated on the far left, or at the left window seat. All right, removing the footrests on the other two seats.
Like you said, Kate.
I have a feeling Aton will be next.
Yeah.
No, it looks like it's MLA.
Yeah, that's certainly part of the reacclimation process, is remembering those muscles that help keep you stabilized in a 1G environment. You haven't used them in a few days, so it's certainly time spent after coming back home.
Oh, just kidding. All right, so MLA did a little change of seats there, so Aton will be the next one to come out. It's very, that feels very on par for him. We've heard that MLA really was an exemplary commander for this crew, and he basically just said, no, Aton goes first, I'll be last.
Yeah.
One of my favorite phrases is leaders eat last. Make sure everybody else goes first, and it's just great to see that.
Yeah. We see Aton making his egress and first stance back on ground in 17 days.
Yeah, it's quite the readjustment coming back down to Earth and going from, regardless of how long you're up there, obviously it's, the longer you are, the more difficult the transition can be.
Yeah.
But even after the 17 days that they were in microgravity, that's still a pretty significant change on the body.
Yeah, it certainly is.
So it's pretty amazing to see them, just take those steps and begin that reacclimation process.
Exactly.
Now, once they are, so for the 3 crew members that we saw exit or egress the vehicle already, they walk off and they are immediately escorted into one of the medical bays that's on board. So the recovery vessels are fully equipped with medical bays to assist with any ailments or illness that the crew might be feeling at that time. It seems like everybody was in really good spirits and everybody was feeling quite well. But that capability is on board the Dragon capsule, and so basically the crews just go in and get checked out by the flight surgeon and get those thumbs up.
Yeah, just that capability to have that immediate assessment is really important. Even if you are feeling perfectly fine, you're taking your great steps. It's all part of the ground-based operations that ensure that you come home safely and you get out of the capsule safely.
So there we saw MLA slide down the ramp and now standing. Welcome home, Commander MLA.
With that, all 4 crew members of Ax-1 are now safely out of the Crew Dragon Endeavour.
So you can see their mission control here behind us at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Checking in now that pretty much all the dynamic activities of recovery have concluded.
Right. At this point, we'll just be waiting on crew to make sure that, they have those good checks that you were talking about. Making sure that all the medical checks coming out of the vehicle, they're happy, healthy, feeling good.
Yeah.
All right, well, as the crews are now safely aboard the recovery vessel and have completed their journey to the ISS and back, marking this moment is Axiom's Chief Business Officer, Amir Blackman.
Thank you, John, Kate, and the Axiom and SpaceX media teams. Thank you for that wonderful coverage so we could all share in this. The Ax-1 mission is one of the more visible milestones of our journey to ensure that space travel is opened up to more and more of the brightest minds and eager explorers from around the world who want to make our home planet a better place. And we believe this mission, represented by the US, Canada, Spain, and Israel, advances that vision of a unified humanity reaching for the stars. Despite the strife going on the ground, the ISS crew and our astronauts continued working together as a beacon of international cooperation. In the years preceding this mission, we at Axiom Space set out to develop the procedures, foster the agreements, and build the operations and support teams needed to expand what had historically been negotiated only between governments. And with every step, we've created new precedents. We set the bar very high for ourselves, and we asked a lot of this crew. And here we are at the conclusion of an incredible mission, and I must say the teams exceeded every expectation. We could not be more proud of what has just been accomplished by Commander Michael Lopez Alegria, Larry Connor, Eitan Stibe, and Mark Pathy, as well as the hundreds of team members who have played a part in the success of Ax-1. Over the course of this mission, we've succeeded in inspiring those who seek to pursue a place among the stars. Over 400 interns applied for the 23 openings at Axiom. 5 additional countries made the decision to fly their astronauts with us, and every day we're approached by new innovators wanting to take advantage of microgravity. To the teams at NASA and SpaceX, to each crew member's own teams in Ohio, Canada, Spain, and Israel, to the teams at the Ramon Foundation and Rokia mission, and to the principal investigators around the world who have trusted us with facilitating your studies, and to the Axiom family who have worked tirelessly these last few weeks and months. Thank you. On behalf of Axiom Space, to the crew of Ax-1, Mark, Eitan, Larry, Mike, well done and welcome home. For our Hebrew-speaking audience, משימת Ax-1 היא אחת מאבני הדרך החשובות במאמצינו לפתיחת החלל להמוני היזמים והחוקרים הנלהבים מכל רחבי העולם, אלה ששואפים לנצל את התנאים המיוחדים, כמו חוסר הכבדה בתחנת החלל, לפיתוח טכנולוגיות ששומרות על עולמנו ומשפרות את איכות החיים על כדור הארץ. ואנחנו מאמינים שהמשימה שכעת הסתיימה בהצלחה מרבית, שבה מיוצגת ארצות הברית, קנדה, ספרד וישראל, מקדמת את החזון של איחוד המין האנושי בהרחבת פעילותנו בחלל. אכן, למרות המאבקים בין מדינות על הקרקע, צוותי האסטרונאוטים הבינלאומיים המשיכו את עבודתם המשותפת כדוגמה וסמל לאפשרויות של שיתוף פעולה לכל האנושות. בשנים שקדמו למשלחת הזאת, אנחנו באקסיום ספייס פעלנו ליצירת מהלכים, הסכמים והקמת צוותים הדרושים ליישום פעילות פרטית בחלל, פעילויות שלאורך ההיסטוריה נעשו על ידי ממשלות וסוכנויות חלל. מההתחלה ועם כל צעד אקסיום ספייס יצרה תפיסות חדשות ופעילויות ללא תקדים. הצבנו לעצמנו מטרות מאתגרות וביקשנו הרבה מהצוות האסטרונאוטים הראשון שלנו, והנה אנחנו נמצאים בסיום מוצלח, ואפשר בקלות לומר שהצוות עלה על כל הציפיות. אנחנו מלאי גאווה עצומה נוכח ההישגים שאליהם הגיעו מפקד מיכאל לופז אלגריה, לארי קונור, איתן סטיבה, מרק פאטי, ואיתם כל מאות אנשי הצוותים התומכים שתרמו להצלחת משימת Ax-1. במשך פיתוח המשימה וביצוע הצלחנו לעורר השראה בין רבים שגם הם רוצים למצוא את מקומם בין הכוכבים. לדוגמה, אקסיום ספייס קיבלה מעל 400 פניות עבור כיתה של 23 סטאז'רים. 5 מדינות החליטו לשלוח אסטרונאוטים מטעמם דרך אקסיום לחלל, ובכל יום אנחנו מקבלים פניות מאנשי מדע ויזמים שרוצים לנצל את תנאי החלל. וכאן המקום להודות בהתלהבות לצוותים של נאסא, SpaceX, לכל אנשי התמיכה של צוות Ax-1 הנמצאים באוהיו, קנדה, ספרד וישראל, לחוקרים בארצות רבות שסמכו עלינו ועל יכולתנו ליישם את הפרויקטים שלכם בחלל, ולמשפחת אקסיום הנרחבת, כולל במיוחד את צוות קרן רמון ומסיבת רקיע שעבדו במסירות ימים ולילות בחודשים האחרונים. מטעם אקסיום ספייס, לצוות של Ax-1, מרק, איתן, לארי ואלי, כל הכבוד והגאווה, וברוכים השבים הביתה לכדור הארץ. שון, back to you.
Amir, thank you, and very well said. Axiom 1 is a huge moment in the story of human spaceflight, and one that we will certainly be celebrating for a while. But yet, it's a huge learning opportunity for us as well. Our long-term vision is to expand what is possible. We want to build on moments like these to help us better develop and fly Axiom Station, a new destination in space that many more will be able to visit in the future.
Well, now that our crew is safely back home on Earth and getting the first checks by our medical team, we're going to wrap up our live coverage of their historic return. The Axiom 1 crew launched on April 8th from Kennedy Space Center, docked with the International Space Station nearly 21 hours later on April 9th, spent 15 days on station before undocking yesterday, April 24th, and now, as you just saw about an hour ago, they splashed down just off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida.
Right, and this has just been such an incredible journey for everybody, for me personally, But next up, this crew is going to be able to catch a helicopter flight back to shore while they will be rejoined with their families. And so, while this concludes the flight portion of the Ax-1 mission, much of the research portfolios that were performed on station will continue to be reviewed and analyzed in the coming days and weeks. So some of their studies will continue over the coming days and months as well. Kate, I know that the teams here at Hawthorne are now turning their attention towards Crew 4, so you guys have a bit of planning to do for that.
Yeah, expecting to launch our next NASA crew, which is Crew 4, on the 27th, and hopefully returning the Crew 3 crew,
exactly.
Just like we did the Axiom crew. So once again, weather, hoping that it plays along.
Exactly. Well, Kate, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing this desk with you. Thank you so much for this opportunity, both for the launch of Ax-1 on April 8th, a few weeks ago, and now we're landing today. So thank you very much. And to all of you watching, thank you for tuning in. It's been an honor and a privilege to share the journey of MLA, Larry, Eitan, and Mark, the first all-private crew to the International Space Station, with all of you. As we've said from the beginning and throughout this mission, the Ax-1 mission is the first step in teaching us more about how we approach this next chapter of spaceflight together. Understanding how we work together as a team to allow low Earth orbit operations to evolve is a critical step in this relationship. Like every good relationship, we're going to challenge and learn from each other along the way, because ultimately, we all want to see the same thing, and that's mission success, right?
For sure.
So be sure to check out axiomspace.com as we continue to pursue new commercial opportunities for human spaceflight. I'm John Rackham with Axiom Space. This is Kate Tice with SpaceX, signing off with a final welcome home to the crew of Ax-1.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you soon.